Hello, welcome to day 3 of the Receiving More Festival. So, I wanted to talk to you today all about creating safety to go to the next level. Now, before we do that, let's have a little recap of what has happened so far. So, day number 1, we spoke about rewriting your money story. Day number 2, we did some tapping to help you open up to receiving more money and to start breaking down that money ceiling that you might have in place. And so now we're going into creating safety to go to the next level, because this can be a big one for a lot of us. So let me know in the comments, drop me an emoji. Let me know how you're feeling. Find an emoji that kind of represents how you're feeling about your money story, how you're feeling about money at the moment. Just to remind you, I am doing a giveaway with some free sessions all around abundance alignment. So these are energy healing sessions, and I'm really looking forward to working with a few people who have been taking action this week. So I am rewarding your action with these free sessions. As we know, the universe loves action. If you meet the universe halfway, then it will meet you halfway. And so by taking action every day, you will be entered into the prize draw. So on Monday, I encouraged you to write a new money story, to give yourself a new idea around money, and to tell yourself this story as often as possible, to kind of clear some of the old memories and the old painful things that we might have seen around money when we were growing up. The second day was all about tapping. So you can drop me an emoji in that video. Let me know that you've done the tapping. That's something that you can return to as well and keep going a little bit deeper, clearing more and more layers all around receiving more money. So day number 3 is creating safety to go to the next level. It was so interesting yesterday, actually, that a number of people commented on how important it was for them to have some of the mantras in the tapping script all around safety. And actually, I think that's a really big one for many of us. And I think that's really normal, actually, because we're doing something new here. We're going to a new level. You know, whether you're in a place where it's like, oh, I'm starting up a side business and I'd like to make my first lot of money from that, or whether you're going to the next level in your business, it's all new territory and it seems a little bit unfamiliar. So sometimes we can feel a little bit outside of our comfort zone. And whenever we're doing that, our brain tends to react as if we're in an environment that is quite dangerous. So we can kind of go into the fear-based mode that our brain goes to. It's almost like that survival-based mode. It's really our lizard brain is getting turned on and making sure that we are safe, that everything is okay. And that is what that part of our brain is responsible for. So it's a really normal and natural response. So if it is that you're running a business and you want to go online more, and maybe this is a really common one, maybe it requires you sharing a little bit more of yourself and being a little bit more authentic, and that feels scary because, there's lots of people on social media. Maybe that's something that you find yourself sabotaging around because it might not feel safe to be seen. And it's all new territory. So your brain kind of hasn't up-leveled yet to that place where it's integrated that change. It knows how to operate at that level. It's okay because it's been through a few things and it knows, right, this is safe, this is fine, I know what I'm doing now. So it's almost like you're hyper alert and you're hyper kind of sensitive to certain things. So while we are stepping out of our comfort zone and going to the next level, we can expect that there's an element of it doesn't necessarily feel safe. It all feels like, some of the things that we're doing, it feels a little bit tentative. It feels a bit scary. Maybe it also feels on the flip side exciting, and that's okay. But there is also an element of some of the things that our brain is expecting may actually not create safety. So we often have these unintended consequences that can come up when we're looking to go to the next level. And it's funny because, with all the personal development work and all the goal setting and all of that, all of the focus is on the best parts of your goal. Like, imagine what it's going to be like when you have this level of abundance, this level of money coming in. You're going to have more time. You're going to be happier because you're doing certain things. It's the ability to have more, to do more, the upgrades that maybe you'll have in your life, how you're going to be supporting and taking care of others potentially. Maybe then you'll also be contributing to all of these causes or a cause that you're passionate about. And so we have this beautiful picture in our mind, and that's wonderful. We do want to focus on that for sure, because that's what manifestation is all about. However, if we don't look at the flip side as well and have a look at what's actually going on underneath all of that, we might actually fail to see that our brain is terrified of some of the downsides that it is expecting. You see, our brain tends to calculate things on a probability basis, like all of these things have happened in the past, so this will probably happen in the future. And so when we don't actually recognize those things, we might find ourselves sabotaging all of our best attempts, sabotaging by procrastinating, maybe sabotaging by avoiding, sabotaging by, I don't know, there's just so many different ways, overworking, getting busy, doing different things. We need to really look at what is going on with these expected downsides that we might not be consciously aware of. So that's the main thing I wanted to talk to you about today. Like, yes, you have the element of the normal, natural kind of, tentative kind of actions that your brain is taking in this new territory because it's outside of your comfort zone. But then on the flip side as well, we also have all of these things that your brain might be expecting, and it's calculated on a probability basis. That's probably going to happen. And if we're not aware of it, it's almost like there's a siren going off on our brain going, don't go there, don't do that. And it's going to block all of our best manifesting attempts. On a subconscious level, we might be vibrating in a fear-based level, and we haven't actually recognized that that is even there because we're spending all of the time in our conscious brain focusing on all of the good things. So how does this show up? Like, one of the ones that you actually might be aware of, a couple of these, because I know when I speak to people, sometimes they literally tell me this, like paying more tax. Many of us are really, really scared about the tax man or the tax woman, the tax office, wherever you live. I used to be terrified of the tax office. And I think maybe if I didn't live where I live now, I might also be, terrified of the tax office. I grew up in Australia and I remember doing tax returns, and I remember it being, I wonder actually if there's any Australians watching. Let me know if you still have these tax packs that they're probably digital now, actually, that used to come through, and you had to like fill in all these forms, and it was just so lengthy and so confusing the way they did it. And it was always an absolute royal pain. And so whenever it came to me being self-employed and me figuring out tax, I always had lots and lots of stories around that, like not wanting to go to the next level because I'd have to pay tax. I've even spoken to, practitioners and coaches who in the UK here, you are able to be self-employed up to a certain level, but when you get to a certain level of income, then the government wants you to incorporate, I think, into a company, and you need to start paying VAT, which is the same as, I think, sales tax, GST in other countries. So all of that feels hard for some people. And I know of people that consciously keep their business under that threshold in order to avoid having to figure all of that stuff out. So is there one around paying more tax? What is your story around paying more tax? Because the reality is that there are some people out there that are running amazing businesses and they are not that proficient with tax, but they have manifested really great people to support them, a great team, a great bookkeeper, a great accountant, someone that can give them really sound financial advice. And that enables them to operate at whatever level it is. Or maybe there's a story for you around paying more tax and just getting a bigger bill and not wanting to pay more tax. Maybe you'd go up into a different threshold, and so your tax bill will become more. So maybe there's a lack-based scarcity mindset around that. Like actually it's going to cost me more to do business in that way. It's going to cost me more in tax. I don't want that. Is that coming up for you? Because what if it was true that actually, yes, you might have a bigger tax bill, but there's always more. It's limitless in terms of your potential for creation. So what if you get a bigger tax bill? Because actually your income will be bigger as well. So the net result is that you have more in your account. For some people as well, and this is one that I think I have had in the past as well, is when you've got money problems, things that you would describe as money problems, or maybe you don't have a good handle on your finances, it almost feels like if you went to the next level, how on earth are you going to cope if you're not coping at this level? If you're not figuring out how to invest, if you're not figuring out how to save, if you're missing your debt repayments and things like that. If you haven't quite figured out that money system, then how on earth are you going to go to the next level? And I would highly recommend, if you're experiencing anything like this, just keep experimenting with the practical stuff and keep trying to find a way to have a look at how you can bring more awareness into your money, how you can manage and be a great steward to your money, and do it at this level. Because that's something that a money coach once said to me, is that if you figure all of this stuff out at this level, when you have more later on, those problems are not magnified. If you don't sort it out when you've got like less money and smaller money problems, smaller debt, then all that's going to happen is you amplify all of that because you haven't figured out your systems. So if you have like money problems, maybe there's a block in there, like, oh, if I go to the next level, well, I've got this much debt now, then I'm going to have that much debt, and I'm already struggling with all of that. I can't, my finances are a mess. I don't know what's where, it's going to be even more messy. So think about whether or not that could be a block for you. And those ones might be quite conscious, actually, the tax and, just the money system and the money problems. I'm just giving you some ideas here because, there might be some other unintended consequences that come up for you. Let me know in the comments if anything I've said so far actually resonates for you. Is it possible that, you might be the only one that would have this level of prosperity in your friend circle, in your family circle, in your community? Is that going to be a block for you? What are your thoughts around wealthy people? What do you think other people are going to think of you if you became a wealthy person, if you went to the next level that you're intending to go to? Are there any blocks that come up around that? Because we've got a very strong desire as humans to remain a part of the tribe. We don't want to be ostracized. And so when, you may have a different financial situation to other people, you may no longer identify as much as part of that community, or you may worry that other people will look at you in a different way. So that could be an interesting one to explore. Maybe you have people in your life that are going to ask you for more money if you have more money. Maybe you have people that are slightly dependent on you, maybe codependent, and you might have some boundary issues that you may need to manage. You might have people coming to you and saying, if they knew that you had more money, oh, can you lend me money for this? Can you do this? Can you do that? Does that come up for you? Because that one can be a block as well. If you've got someone that you've got quite an awkward relationship with, you're not going to find it easy to manifest more money if you're thinking, oh, they're just going to keep asking me for more money and I'm going to have to keep saying either no or yes, but it never gets paid back. Does any of that come up? All right, so there are some of the unintended consequences that I see an awful lot coming up. You might have your own. So I want to invite you to do a little bit of an exercise now to consider, what are your unintended consequences? What are the places where you do not feel it's safe to go to the next level? So as I say, we often look at the positive side quite a lot. So let's just start there for a moment. Given your money goal, the next step in your money journey, what is going to be amazing about being in that place? It might be all of the things that we've spoken about, like, it's the freedom, it's the prosperity, it's the it's the ability to have more time with people. It's the ability to do whatever the hell I want to do. Any of those things can come up. It's the ability to be working in a way that actually really nourishes my soul. I love doing this particular kind of work. So what are all the good things about going to the next level? Answer that. Let me know in the comments, actually, if you're here live and you're doing this exercise. These comments, by the way, they're also at the top of this post. I've copied and pasted them so you can see them really easily in the top of this post. Okay, when I get to my next money goal, it will not be great because... What are the downsides of you getting to that money goal? So you've looked at the positive already. What's the opposite side? What are the downsides? What's the negative things that will happen in your life? Let your brain run free here. Get it all out. Get it all out onto a piece of paper so that you can examine it. So maybe it's the taxes, maybe it's the money management, maybe it's dealing with accountants, dealing with the tax office, maybe it's having to deal with financial advisors and things like that that feel really grown up and feel like something that, people do when they've got money, but you've never done that before. Maybe it's about, working with clients at a different level. You haven't worked with those clients before. Maybe you've got some nerves around that. So what is it that is coming up for you? Maybe another one is, and this has come up for me before, it's like, oh, I'll have to have a bigger presence on social media. And I have a lot of conflicting views around that. Like, it doesn't always feel safe for me. I don't know if I want that, So actually that can be a block as well. So if your money goal is tied to something in business where you think you may need to do something, write all of those things down as well. So once you've got that, you've got a few of the positive and you've got a few of the negative ones there. I want you to highlight one of the biggest negative ones. What is the one that gives you the most charge? What is the one that makes you think, I really don't want to go through that? For me, it used to be the tax one. So I want you to ask yourself, how is that not true? Let's poke some holes in this belief. So I'll do the example of the tax one from a previous version of my life. Like, I'm going to have to pay more tax. Maybe I'm going to get into trouble with the tax office. I don't know what will happen then. Maybe I'll get fined. Maybe, they'll put a strike against my name. I don't know what would happen. I might have legal issues. Maybe I'll get fined. So ask yourself how that's not true. If that was my belief that all of that could happen, how is it not true? Well, it's not true because maybe I would be able to find someone who could help me with all of that. Maybe I would be able to talk to someone at the tax office to figure all of that out if that did happen. It's not true because it simply has not happened. And so it doesn't mean that it definitely will. The opposite of that is that actually, what if it was true that I could figure out my taxes? What if it was true that I could find someone to help me? What if it was true that actually I figured out a system that allowed me to not get into trouble with my tax bill? Because, and a long story, but I won't go too much into it. That was part of it. I got into trouble with a tax bill once. I didn't have the money. And I went through a whole thing with that. So what if it was not true that you ever have to go into that again? So what are your options? That is the next question. You know now how, there's a few different ways around how maybe that belief is not true. But even if there is some truth to it, even if there is like, actually, I reckon this really, this feels true, this is probably going to happen. What are some of your options around that? Do you have any workarounds? Do you have any ways that you could figure that out? I mean, it's 100% true that I'm going to have to pay more tax if I keep going with that tax example. I can't get out of that. I can't disprove that. It's not just a belief, it's the law. So what are my options around that? Well, I guess I could look to manifest someone who, knows more about this, who is a really good accountant that will give me the right advice and that I have a great relationship with. That's one of my options. Another option would be to speak to some people who are at that level. What are they doing? How do they manage their money? Do they have any recommendations for a bookkeeper or an accountant? That's some of the practical options that you might have in that situation. So figure out what your options are for the biggest thing that you're dreading. What are the things that you can use as a workaround, even if you think that there's some truth in what might happen? Finally, I want you to choose an affirmation that you can use. And I want you to write this on a Post-it note or put it in your phone as a reminder, anchor it somewhere. It might be an it's safe affirmation. So it might start as something like, it's safe for me to go to the next level. It's safe for me to receive more. It's safe for me to pay taxes. It's safe for me to have more money. It's safe for me to be debt free. It's safe for me to be seen. It's safe for me to be myself. It's safe for me to say no. Do any of those resonate for you? Maybe you want to choose one of those. Let me just repeat those just in case you wanted. And by the way, I have copied and pasted these just at the top as well. You might add your own words in here, and I highly recommend that you do. Like, find an affirmation that really resonates for you that you can use. It's safe for me to go to the next level. It's safe for me to receive more. It's safe for me to have more money. It's safe for me to be debt free. It's safe for me to pay taxes. It's safe for me to be seen. It's safe for me to be myself. And it's safe for me to say no. Or maybe you need an affirmation that affirms how amazing you are with money. Maybe that is one that would help you in whatever is the scenario that you're most worried about. I am an amazing money manager. I am an amazing saver. I am an amazing investor. Let me know in the comments what your affirmation is. I want to hear what your affirmation is. And for those of you who do want to put your name down and go into the prize draw for one of these aligned abundance sessions, then, do just let me know your affirmation, and I'm going to put your name into a hat and we'll draw some names out, and we'll see who's going to be doing that. It's going to be really, really exciting. Okay, so that is what I've got for you today. As I say, if you need those questions again, I've put them up at the top of this video, so you can go back, you can have a look at those. You can have a look at those suggested affirmations. You can play with the words. You can find what works for you. Let me know your affirmation in the comments so that I can put your name into a draw for the Aligned Abundance Energy Healing Session. And I will see you tomorrow. It's going to be the same time, the same place. Tomorrow, we're going to be doing day 4 of the Receiving More Festival, and I can't wait to see you there. Have a wonderful day. Bye.